Welcome to Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff for the South Texas forecast, September 3rd, 2025, and it's Wednesday. We'll jump into the forecast or the analysis first. Over South Texas, we're still on the tail end of that long wave, although we are past all of the trough that went through South Texas. And so now we've got some light northwest flow that's over the region that's kind of pushed most of the thunderstorm producing air out of the region, at least for the time being. You can see on the overall pattern that most of the dynamics, the really good winds and better low pressure is up there getting into northwest Ontario and the northern plains. This is something to watch if you're going to be into the Great Lakes, which I have just got done talking about on the lower Michigan forecast edition. All right, so overall, there is a pretty strong little cold front that's coming through the upper Great Lakes. There's a little bit reinforcing shot there in behind it as well, and that is going to affect the upper Great Lakes here today with mainly showers, thunderstorms, and then the ushering in of cold enough air that we get some lake effect rain showers. Not the snow, or not that cold, and it better not get that cold. And then we can talk about this a little bit, but you'll see there's that stationary front off of the Florida coast. It goes around into the Gulf. You can kind of see that there is a trough that kind of goes into the Gulf as well that looks like it may have been attached to it at one point. And then there's a decent little cold front from a little bit of a reinforcing shot. I don't think it's going to get all the way down into Corpus Christi, at least as far as the cooler air. There is about not much this morning as far as the temperature difference on either side of this. The real cool air is further up in North Texas and the Panhandle in the 60s. But that's pretty expected. So we'll just kind of take a look at that particular a little bit closer up. You can kind of see that cold front probably will become more of a stationary front here as the northern part of it kind of continues off to the east and then starts to, I want to say, probably starts to wash out or become more stationary. So it'd be probably another round of rain here for the northern part of Texas. We'll take a look here. Oh, no, I was wrong. I forgot all about what they were going to do. So there's still expected some rain showers along the coastal area, thunderstorms, all the way down to, looks like Nueces and Corpus Christi Bay, maybe just barely into Baffin Bay there. But otherwise, most of North Texas looks like it's going to be dry, as well as West Texas. It's just the Panhandle where there are some showers and thunderstorms expected. And then you've got the marginal risk of heavy rain and slight risk of heavy rain there in the central part of the U.S. That continues on into Thursday. What's tomorrow? Right. One of the things you have a problem with when you're doing forecasts on in meteorology is remembering what day it actually is. Okay, so out in the west, the desert west, there's moisture coming up from, I think it's Tropical Storm Lorena, that's going to be coming up into the Baja California and Sonora. That's going to spread all the moisture up into the southwest. That is something that we'll need to pay attention to later on this week in Texas. I would have, although some of it may get used up there in the desert southwest with some of the monsoonal moisture. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, the rest of the U.S. has that part of whatever's left of the front swinging through. Marginal severe weather, general thunderstorms in the central part of the state. You've got some excessive heavy rain possibilities there in South Florida. And then that goes into day 3. Everything kind of starts to, at least in the eastern part of the U.S., starts to really tamp down a bit as far as chances for precipitation. Out in the west, you still have that marginal risk for excessive heavy rain the WPC has with thunderstorms out west. To give you an idea with what's happening on the tropical side of things, the main wave that everyone's watching for, in fact, I already saw somebody try to name it as the next one, asking where it's going to move. It's like, well, it's not a tropical storm yet. So anyways, that's this wave. It's expected in the next couple of days to start to form, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. There are a couple other waves, and we'll take a look at it going up through, starting to cross the Lesser Antilles, and then you've got in the Gulf just an area of low pressure at the end of that stationary front that's in the Gulf and around Florida. Kind of take a look at that from the satellite perspective. There's the wave down here in the southwest off the coast of Africa. This is the main portion of it. Somewhere in there, we may start seeing some development. You can see there's a little bit of the winds. You can tell from the cloud movement that there's a couple layers there that are moving in opposite directions, and that wind shear is keeping everything kind of pulled apart. I think on the computer models, though, that does start to congeal so that we might get something here within the next 7 days. As we look over, there's that wave that's getting ready to go into the Lesser Antilles here later on that we saw on the analysis map. You can see the showers and thunderstorms that are formed along that stationary front and that trough that goes out into the western part of the Gulf. And then you look at areas around Texas, and you have a few clouds, maybe right along that cold front, but for the most part, not a whole lot going on. Looks like the last couple of frames there's a shower and maybe some thunder that's trying to get moving there up there in East Texas. All right, to take a look at the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We do have the tropical wave over the eastern part of the tropical Atlantic. Off the Cabo Verde Islands, it continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms. We kind of noted that on the satellite. Environmental conditions remain conducive. So we still have a 70% chance in the next 7 days and a 30% chance in the next 48 hours for some sort of cyclone to form. And when by cyclone, in our case, we're talking about at the minimum a tropical depression, which would be an area of low pressure with a complete circle of winds all the way around it. We'll see how that turns out here over the next couple of days. The last couple that have come through here with any sort of potential have kind of gotten flattened by wind shear. So we'll see. This one right now looks like it has some potential. It's a strong enough one, but it just can't get its act together because, as I noted on the satellite, there is wind shear out there. This is the GFS ensemble out through the next 10 days. I stopped it at 240 hours. I didn't go out the whole 15-day thing because that's just kind of meaningless anyways. It's bad enough to go out through 10 days in my mind. But it starts down here, it moves out, it becomes at least some sort of a hurricane on several of the computer model ensembles members. It has pulled pretty much everything out of the Gulf, or at least coming across the Caribbean. There are a few little stray things that try to get going across the Caribbean. And you can see where that low and that front is sitting. So as long as that kind of sits there and we've got that big long wave trough sitting over top of the eastern U.S., and you can kind of see that in these shaded areas, how it kind of makes a little trough look there. That's going to keep everything more off to the east and away from the U.S. Bermuda looks like it could be a little bit better off than it was the other day, especially with this pattern that's going on this. Now, to take a look at the European, I did this out through 10 days. That's all they allow it. And this is the 0Z run, so you can get out far enough. But it doesn't have this thing getting very far at all. It barely getting started. It does move into at least hurricane strength, usually tropical. Most of it looks tropical stormish. There are some, and maybe even potentially up to major up towards a Cat 3 and some of those pink ensembles, but we'll see. There's still nothing going on, at least at this point. But it also has a nice little long wave trough that's moving through the East Coast. And if this thing does get going, they do have a tendency to hold up the whole the trough system here. So we'll see where it goes. It might be drawn up here towards Bermuda as well, but most of it looks like it's trying to turn and recurve back into the mid-Atlantic over time. So I'm not real bullish on this thing. It might spin up, but at least as a threat, it doesn't look like it at this point. Looking in the Gulf itself, there's just some stray low pressure systems. Maybe something tries to get going off of one of those little waves, but nothing more than just a tropical depression at this point. All right, let's take a look at the local forecast then. For today, our high temperatures look like they're going to be pretty much where they've been, 100 to 105 out there in the west, the brush country, and the Rio Grande Valley. It's in the coastal plains where you're at 95 to 100 degrees. And then as you get in closer to the coastal bend in the middle Texas coast, you're upper 80s into right around 95 degrees as you get into 93 at Corpus Christi and Rockport. Lows tonight are going to be 75 to 80 for the most part. Yeah, a few places will be a little cooler than that, but getting into the lower 70s, but not a big deal. You got a lot of 80 degrees right along the seashore. All right, so here's the 24-hour probability of precipitation, so the chance of getting at least 1/100 of an inch. So what we've got along the middle Texas coast looks like 40 to 50% chance, so that's right along where that trough offshore is. That would still cause a little bit of forcing. Otherwise, the further in you go, and this could also be sea breeze generated, at least today, because there's enough moisture and some forcing aloft. But it then falls apart to the 20 to 25% as you get into the rest of the coastal plains and the Victoria Crossroads. And then, of course, after that, everything is less than 20% and quickly drops off to less than 10% and even 5% here as you get further off to the west. High temperatures on Thursday. Again, we're looking at 100 to 105, even possibly into the close to 110. It looks like 107 there in Laredo. And that big blob of red is above 105. So that is something to be aware of there in the brush country and in the Rio Grande Plains. Otherwise, the rest of the coastal plains look like they are going to be 100 to 105. And then getting closer into the coastal bend, 95 to 100, and then right out at the water, the upper 80s, as has been because of the water temperature there off the Gulf. Temperatures overnight tonight, be Thursday night into Friday morning, is going to be anywhere from 75 to 80 degrees. Even out in Laredo, it looks like because they get so warm, they're not going to radiate quite as much. So it looks like their temperatures are going to be close to 80 for their low temperature again. Although the next 24 hours, so Thursday through Friday morning, looks like we have less than 10% chance for anything happening across South Texas. Temperatures look like they kind of maintain there with 100 to 105 all the way out in the brush country and the Rio Grande Plains, 95 to 100 there in the coastal plains, with the coastal bend then 90 to 95. Corpus Christi actually looks like it's a little bit cooler, and Rockport for that matter, right around 90 degrees. And then upper 80s again right along the Texas coast. Low temperatures, again, 75 to 80 degrees across most of the region. All right, then for Friday into Saturday morning, We still have some moisture that moves in. Looks like this is going to be sea breeze driven because it stays fairly close to the coast. Anything out past the coastal plains is less than 10%. Anything up towards the coastal plains, or not the coastal plains, the coastal plains into the middle Texas coast there, where it will be 20% to, looks like some 30s and 40% chances there on some of the barrier islands. Just to let you know, there's also a low risk of rip current. So other than some of the thunderstorm possibilities, it's going to be a great day the next couple of days, probably, to be able to get out there on the beach and enjoy everything. Okay, and with that, thanks for listening in. If you have any questions, and I just realized I didn't edit this last graphic, so it should just say September 3rd. However, if you have any questions, leave a comment either on my YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok account. I have all those going now, and I am willing to sit down and talk to you about anything with the weather. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.